evening, folks, and welcome to our show once again. We've got a really great topic here for you today. The word of the day is infotainment, and all the way from the University of Kenya, we have Hathi Pachydermata. Welcome, Hathi. Welcome. Great to meet you. Great to have you on the show. Hathi is a news writer and critic of modern media, and he is going to sort of counter our word today and my take on it. So here we go. So just to give us a sort of background to make sure we all know we're talking about the same language, and I know Mr. Pachydermata, you do, but for our viewers at home, as this is an infotainment segment, in the Dictionary of Mass Communication and Media Research, David Demers describes infotainment as information-based media content or programming that also includes entertainment content in an effort to enhance its popularity with audiences and consumers. Similarly, we have a definition here from Communication, Culture, and Media Studies by none other than John Hartley. Infotainment is a term for blending factual reportage with the conventions associated with fictional entertainment. So we have some examples here, and they might be different in Kenya. Here we have shows like Entertainment Tonight, which would fall under tabloid current affairs. Lifestyle formats, think anything on the Food Network, folks, or Home Makeover, even The Nanny could be classified as infotainment. Basically, it's where TV imparts information in an entertaining way. Now, Mr. Pachydermata, I believe you have some criticisms with this. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a loss of traditional news value. But is that a bad thing? And that's what I want to ask the viewers. Yep. Okay. They're good points, folks. What do you think? He mentions here a loss of reason to emotion. The public takes over versus private thinking, and entertainment takes precedence over information. I agree. I agree. Oh, sorry. Coffee. Okay, so we have to keep a couple things in perspective here, and I will address each of these points. Firstly, entertainment has been around and mixed into the realm of journalism since the Enlightenment, according to Hartley. Sex, scandals, disaster, these are not new topics. They have been in the realm of journalism since then. And even broadcast news, CNN or Fox, or those are the ones we have here and the ones I'm sure you're familiar with back home, you'd have to agree they also have to capture their audience's attention. So naturally, they borrow techniques from fictional entertainment genres. Anyway, getting back to what you mentioned about, what did you call it? What type of traditional news? Traditional news. I mean, are there any absolute truths and values associated with that type of journalism? Does cutting, editing, and relaying a story without emotion in a prescribed voice that really portrays the truth make it any more real or valuable? I would argue that the way events are handled in the news are no more authentic than, let's say, something like a documentary film. Documentary films also fall under the category of infotainment, and I know some fantastic documentary films that have come from Kenya, actually. I do. Yeah. Okay. Documentary films are excellent examples of conveying large amounts of information, which often provoke critical discourse amongst the viewers. So we're not just being bombarded with these statistics of people dying or what the newest serial killer rapist has done. We are talking about the issues at hand. It's a space where we can talk about the issues at hand. It's an engaging medium. It is important to note that infotainment and documentary as well, we're not saying that we are facts all the time, and that our whole point is to simply educate and inform. Let me share a quote by William Stott from the documentary Expression in 30s America. He says, "Even when temperate, a human documentary carries and communicates feeling and then the raw material of drama." So there is a sense of feeling being conveyed through, over, and above the information. And as a human being who feels a lot, I don't see what's wrong with that. And, we've got some examples of documentaries that have created this type of change. For example, Michael Moore's documentary from 2002, Bowling for Columbine. It's a harsh revelation of gun control, or lack of, in the U.S. It's a difficult one to digest, and it's actually been implemented as curriculum for a lot of grade 12 social studies students, at least across BC. Another Michael Moore film, Fahrenheit 9/11, actually won a Palme d'Or at Cannes Festival. This documentary deals with the American relationship during the American relationship with Saudi Arabians during the Iraqi War. I believe it was 2003, and it reveals ties between the Bush administration, George Bush personally himself, and members of Saudi elite and the Bin Laden family itself. This is huge stuff. This is not only massive amounts of information, but highly important information presented in an entertaining way. It's difficult to watch, but you can't take your eyes away from this stuff. The way it's presented is very different than news coverage. I hear that, I do. You're right. Another major criticism could be the replacement of political discourse by sort of a private, trivial type of discourse. And what's the point of this? Well, first of all, if I agreed with you and your statement, I would be failing to recognize all of the topics that finally are getting airtime, that are finally getting public discourse. Issues like the environment, youth, sexuality, and ethnicity have all arisen out of non-traditional infotainment. Like we mentioned before, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, The Colbert Report are all examples of non-traditional news platforms. And they use humor, exaggerations, satire to make their points, but they do make them, and quite often they are quite poignant. Sometimes they're bringing up points in a better light than simply stating the facts, when facts in itself are arguable. Okay. I hear that. I do hear that. The dumbing down of information is a problem here in North America as well. So, yeah, your argument is valid that infotainment, particularly, let's say, websites like the Huffington Post, Entertainment Tonight, may dumb down the information for the people who consume it in order to just catch their attention. And this is partially true. I'll give you that. It's partially true. Only partially true. Only partially true. In the case of simplicity, as the websites I've mentioned, like even Upworthy. Most recently, let me give you an example. Upworthy is a website created by, oh my goodness, I forgot his name, Elias Pilsner Fisher, Filter Bubble guy. Forgive me, I do not remember his name. I've got the app on my Facebook. And there was this headline that said, "This puts Oprah to shame," or something along, or "Take that, Oprah," or "Even Oprah can't deal with this." And I clicked on it. Okay, I clicked on it. And it led to this very grounded, centered, well-spoken talk by Amy Poehler, who's an actress on Saturday Night Live. It's a show we have here. And she talked about being a girl. She was answering a letter from a young woman who had written into her about how much she hates the way she looks, and specifically her body. And it's just very, very, very difficult. And this is something that's really pervasive in our society. I once heard a quote that Africans don't have this problem. We don't understand this. Yeah, we're a little crazy here when it comes to that kind of stuff. Her response was so eloquent and so from the heart and real and powerful as a result. But the way that it caught my attention, I'm sure the attention of other people, I mean, you could sort of put that website into the category of infotainment. So that's why I mean it's partially true. It's partially true. But the other part to it is that infotainment, sure, it catches the attention of more people. And you may call that dumbing down because it's not keeping that higher standard of vernacular and speech, which you can find elsewhere, by the way. But it also reaches a broader audience. And if that means reaching a younger audience, which infotainment, shows like The Daily Show and Real Time with Bill Maher, if that's reaching a younger audience, I don't see what's wrong with that at all. I think that's wonderful. And in the words of Hartley, thus it may be seen as both educational and tactful. So what do you think? Have we convinced you, or? Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad that you came onto the show, Mr. Pachydermata. We highly appreciate you being here. Folks, tune in next time. We'll discuss more things, more terms. I'm sure there'll be many, many more. Thanks so much.